stop doing it. I'm doing this quick live before my battery dies, but if you are already an international pharmacist graduate, you have a license to practice as a pharmacist, or if you are a pharmacy intern, or a new graduate, you've just completed your Bachelor of Pharmacy degree or your Doctor of Pharmacy degree, stop moving to Canada as an international student. It is literally killing your success journey. I can't begin to tell you guys how many international pharmacists I've interacted with over the past couple of months who moved to Canada as students. Listen, unless you have the financial means, there is absolutely no need for you to start your career in debt. It is a trap. Right now, every international student moving to Canada, they need to have $20,635 in their bank account. That's the amount you have to prove to the government that you have. In addition to that, you also have to have your airfare. You have to prove to them that you can travel from Australia or India or Brazil or wherever you are in the world and back home, because being a student is still a temporary position, right? And in addition to that, you need to pay tuition. Now, when you get this money, whether you borrow it, if you are one of those persons like myself who went to school and took a student loan, then it is absolutely ridiculous to go take another student loan to move to Canada as a student, to do a graduate diploma, to go to some, some college. I'm just going to say some college. It doesn't make fiscal sense. You understand me? I don't know if you can understand where my passion's coming from, but I've seen it over and over and over again, and I just want to give y'all some love, but it's a crazy thing to do. I spoke to a pharmacy owner on Wednesday evening, and she has an international pharmacist who, has completed a technician course, and they're enrolling in college to do an early childhood program so they can actually get a job to do the relicensing process. It is beyond me. And I can understand we all don't think the same way. But how is it that we want to go take on more debt, right? Moving to Canada as a student, if you're not financially stable, it's going to make your life hard. I'm just going to lay out the cards on the table for you. If you're not financially stable, it's going to make your life hard. And here is why. As an international student, you're restricted to how many hours you can work. You can only work a maximum 20 hours per week. If you're an international student, it means you haven't completed your credentialization, which means that you will be offered, maybe anywhere between $15 to $20. If you're lucky and you have a rare skill, you may get $30 per hour. A whole lot of money, guys. Life in Canada is not cheap. There are amazing opportunities here for international pharmacists. However, you need to complete the relicensing process. You need to move to Canada permanently. The money that you're taking to throw at those schools, you're giving them $20,000 and $40,000. That can complete your entire relicensing process. And you could also have money to sponsor yourself and your family, and you'd probably still have change. If you are an international pharmacist and you're thinking about taking out a loan, you're thinking about leveraging debt to advance in your career in Canada, becoming an international student is not the way to go. I'm sorry. It's not the way to go. Those tuition, the rent in Canada, all the things, and because you're a temporary resident as a student, you don't get access to certain amenities that persons who are citizens and permanent residents get. So if I were to give you one advice this financial literacy month of April, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for the comment. I did see it. If I'm supposed to give you one single piece of advice, it is to get wise with your finances. You have to make decisions that are going to benefit your future. If you borrow money to move to Canada as a student, it's going to put you in a debt hole. There are so many students here suffering. I hear the stories, I get the DMs, and then I'm sorry, I don't know how to get to these people before they make that crazy mistake. I got message from pharmacists from Mexico. I got message from pharmacists from India. I got message from pharmacists in Dubai. Got message from Lima, Peru. Like, guys, y'all need to stop it. You cannot dig a debt hole for yourself and then expect other persons to be sympathetic and empathetic towards you, and then you want them to help you to get job opportunities and you expect them to do it for free. You're welcome. Thank you for the great info. Always sharp with us. Yes, like, you all need to know these things so you don't make the same crazy mistake. I could literally foresee that happening, and I'm like, I'm going to Canada. I want to go back to school to do my PharmD. That was the dream. That's no longer the dream. The goalpost has been shifted, right? Like, no, you come to Canada. I decided to move as a permanent resident. Now I have access to financial institution. Students in Canada do not pay interest on their student loans. The government literally froze interest on student loan for Canadian residents and citizens. International students pay 3 to 5 times what locals pay. And you have to pay that out of pocket. You have to pay that upfront to get into these institutions. They'll take your money. You'll get a useless piece of paper afterwards, and then you don't know how to leverage that. And if you are an international pharmacist, you're going to want to practice in your profession. You're going to be seeing opportunities in the market. And guess what? You're back to the drawing board. You're right back at square one. You're going to need to go through the entire relicensing process. Again, if I'm supposed to give you one wise financial advice, this financial literacy month is, instead of getting into a Canadian college or whatever the case is and paying tons and tons of money and depleting your funds, use that money to fund your relicensing process. And thank me later. That's all I want to share with you guys. If you've never met me before, my name is Haverly Johnson. I am a 3 times licensed pharmacist. I have dual licenses in Canada, a license to practice in Ontario, one for Alberta. I help international pharmacists relocate permanently through a partnership with a law firm here in Toronto. I help them relocate permanently to Canada, relicense in their profession, and help them relaunch 6 and 7 figures careers, because that's what's possible. So kindly share this with your pharmacist colleagues, and y'all need to stop applying to these colleges that's taking your money and leaving you stranded when you get to Canada, right? I said that unapologetically. They can come for me later. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Be wise with your finances. Don't be throwing money out there just like that for the sake of moving to Canada. Moving to Canada is a big marketing campaign. Immigration Canada have to give it to them. They've done an amazing job of advertising Canada as one of the most sought after countries in the world. But the realities on the other side of moving to Canada is not as glamorous as it is on social media. And that's a fact. Yes, I'm living a relatively good life here in Canada. I love it in Canada. I would not trade being in Canada for where I'm coming from. However, I moved to Canada as a permanent resident. I am relicensed as a pharmacist. I have freedom, I have flexibility, I have autonomy, I have a business going, I have access to things. When you move as students, you do not have the same opportunity. So make wise financial decisions for your future and just do the relicensing process versus moving as a student. All right. My battery is about to die, as I stated at the start of this video, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And I have a question here that says, is PBC going to stop accepting B-Pharm? Let me check my answering this question. Thank you for that question. About 2 years ago, I would have said, I feel like PBC is going to phase out the B-Pharm, and eventually they will, because the B-Pharm program is being phased out throughout the entire Canada, meaning if you want to study to become a pharmacist, you have to go through the whole PharmD program. However, there is a massive labor shortage here in Canada in the field of healthcare. We have a shortage of doctors. There are persons in certain remote areas in Ontario who have been on a wait list for 6 years, so they can't see a physician. No, pharmacists have a wide scope of practice. So right now we are doing prescribing for minor ailments. We are doing assessment in Alberta, which has the widest scope of pharmacist practice. We can do things in Alberta that nobody else in the world can do, right? We have the widest scope of practice globally, not just in Canada. So pharmacists play a very vital role in the healthcare ecosystem. And right now there is a shortage of pharmacists. I just got Career Insights that there was a 16% increase in the amount of roles that are available. One particular company had a 110% increase in their vacancy rate. So I don't believe currently in 2024, April 12th, as we're speaking, that they're going to phase out the bee farm. They need more international pharmacists to come and take up those positions, right? So eventually, I do believe that PBC will phase it out. What I need to inform you guys is that PBC is again changing the exam structure. They're changing the syllabus for the exam. And I believe that they're changing the dates when the exams are administered. So I need to get updated on that, but I know that they're thinking of doing the evaluating exam in October versus January. So I'm going to keep you guys informed about that. I have my microphone. I'm going to send it back to Amazon, get a new one, but I think I should be doing more of these live, but I'm going to be sharing more in depth in the upcoming masterclass, which will be on Saturday, April 27th, starting at 4 p.m. So invite a friend to invite a friend to invite a friend who's a pharmacist and come and get all the details that you need. If you want to ask specific questions, I'll be more than happy to address those. I likely have a guest speaker who is an expert in healthcare in the pharmacy space here in Canada. So you'll be able to ask your direct questions if you get one of those VIP tickets. So I'm going to post the link again to my stories. I'm going to post it to my bio, and you can feel free to join us for Masterclass. So until next time, this is Happily, immigrant pharmacist, saying take care. Thank you for your questions.